Motorcycles move fast, but death moves faster. These aren't just accidents. They're horrifying split-second tragedies that unfolded in front of crowds, cameras, and sometimes even family. Every crash on this list tells a story of speed, passion, and fate colliding in the worst possible way. In this video, we'll dive into 5 of the most painful motorcycle deaths ever recorded. Real riders who lived for the thrill but lost everything in an instant. Some were world-class professionals. Others were everyday bikers chasing the rush of the open road. None of them ever made it home. It was June 17, 2021, in the town of Moses Lake, Washington. Crowds filled the stands at the Grant County International Airport, cameras ready, hearts racing. Among them stood 28-year-old Alex Harvill, a man whose entire life had been built on 2 wheels and a dream. That morning, he wasn't just another rider. He was there to break the Guinness World Record for the longest motorcycle jump, soaring 351 feet through the air. Alex had been riding since he was 4. Over the years, he'd gone from a kid on dirt trails to a name etched into the record books. In 2012, he made history with a 425-foot ramp-to-dirt jump, and not long after shattered another record with a 297-foot dirt-to-dirt leap, one that still stood strong. But the thing about thrill-seekers like Alex, records aren't enough. There's always one more impossible line to cross. For weeks, he had trained relentlessly, perfecting every detail. He built his own ramp, adjusted every angle, and even gave his bike a name, Susie. Just 2 days before the big day, he posted a photo with a grin and the caption, "Susie is ready to be sent." It was a message filled with energy, confidence, and maybe a touch of fate. Before the main event, Alex planned one short warm-up jump, a 150-foot test run, just to feel the ramp and speed. It was supposed to be simple, routine. His family watched from the stands, his wife Jessica holding their 2 young boys, Willis and baby Watson. Then Alex took off, the roar of his engine echoing across the airfield. The crowd cheered as he raced toward the ramp, building speed, the bike trembling under the force. But in an instant, everything went wrong. A witness later said it was like watching time freeze. He went off the ramp and didn't make it to the hill, recalled family friend Debbie Williams. His back tire got caught, then he flew, and his helmet came off. You just start praying. Silence fell. The air show turned from celebration to chaos. Medics ran toward him. Within minutes, Alex was rushed into an ambulance. He never regained consciousness. He was pronounced dead en route to Samaritan Hospital. The coroner later revealed that the handlebars had struck him on impact, causing devastating internal injuries. The news rippled across the motocross world. The sheriff's office confirmed his passing, promising a full investigation. Event organizers issued a statement saying all proceeds from the show would go to Alex's family. But none of that could fill the silence he left behind. Just a month earlier, Alex and Jessica had welcomed their second child. He was still in that soft, sleepless phase of fatherhood, juggling stunts and bedtime stories. That day, his wife and kids were there, watching him do what he loved most. Messages poured in from around the world. Guinness World Records offered condolences. Robbie Madison, the Australian rider whose record Alex was trying to break, wrote, "He was out to set a new world record today when he paid the ultimate price. My heart is broken for his family." He'd already survived one major crash in 2017 at the Talladega Superspeedway when he overshot a landing and shattered his heel. That injury could have ended his career, but Alex came back stronger, determined not to let fear define him. He was more than a daredevil. He was a man chasing perfection, living for both adrenaline and family. On June 30th, friends and fans gathered in Ephrata to say goodbye. Stories were shared, tears fell, engines roared one last time in his honor. A GoFundMe raised nearly $40,000 for Jessica and the boys. It was May 19th, 2025, an evening on Jamaica's northern coast. For 53-year-old Lisa Ball from Keighley, West Yorkshire, it was supposed to be a night to remember. She and her partner, Anthony Hurt, had traveled to the island for their anniversary. Tomorrow was Lisa's birthday. For days, the couple had been soaking in the island's beautiful beaches, laughter, sunsets, Lisa, a mother and grandmother, radiated joy. On social media, she used the name Joanne Pickles, sharing snapshots of their trip, drinks by the ocean, bright smiles, a life in full bloom. But behind that final post, no one could have imagined the horror that was about to unfold. Just after sunset, around 7:40 p.m., they climbed onto their rented Honda scooter. The North Coast Highway stretched ahead, scenic but deadly. Locals knew its danger: poor lighting, fast cars, and blind turns. As the wind rushed past, Lisa held onto Anthony's back. It was their last ride together. Without warning, a pickup truck pulled out of a restaurant parking lot, straight into their path. There was no time to react. The scooter slammed into the truck's side. The impact threw Lisa into the air. Witnesses said she flew over 60 feet before crashing onto the road. Anthony was hurt but conscious. Lisa didn't move. A woman named Cassia Campbell-Jones saw it happen. She ran toward the wreckage, calling for help, trying desperately to keep Lisa alive. Paramedics arrived quickly and rushed her to the hospital. But by the time they got there, it was too late. Back in the UK, Lisa's daughter, Chloe Watson, received the news. Hours later, she posted just 4 words: "Love you, Mom." Lisa left behind her daughter and 5 grandchildren: Olivia, Daisy, Leah, Lily, and Malene, all too young to understand why she wasn't coming home. Friends flooded social media with tributes. Fiona Ward wrote that Lisa and Anthony had been having the time of their lives. Another, Claire Eatonfield, described her as gentle and kind. Anthony had once called her a keeper and the love of my life. This trip was meant to be a celebration. Instead, it became a tragedy. Police questioned the truck driver, but no arrests were made. The North Coast Highway was already notorious for deadly accidents. Just months before, another tourist had died on the same stretch. The British Foreign Office had warned travelers for years of poor lighting, reckless driving, uneven roads, yet scooters remained a favorite among visitors seeking freedom and thrill. For Lisa and Anthony, that thrill ended in heartbreak. It was the night of May 26, 2024, in Quindio, Colombia, a quiet stretch of road winding through the mountains, the kind of place where silence and darkness seem endless. 2 best friends, both just 19 years old, rode side by side through that night. Their names were Catherine Juliet Cubilos Cardeño and Selena Valentina Valencia Ramirez, inseparable since childhood, full of energy, and completely unaware that their final moments were being recorded. The girls were riding a black AKT NKD motorcycle, laughing and shouting over the roar of the engine. Catherine was driving, Selena behind her, holding her phone up to film their joyride. They weren't wearing helmets. They didn't think they needed to. The road from Pueblo Tapao to Montenegro was familiar, one they'd taken before. It felt safe enough. The footage starts out like any other carefree video: 2 teenagers out late chasing freedom. The glow of the phone's light bounces off their faces, their smiles wide, their voices echoing into the night. But then something shifts. The camera wobbles slightly as the motorcycle speeds up. The laughter grows louder and nervously. Maybe, and the road ahead fades into the darkness. Catherine glances back toward the camera for a split second, still smiling. That was all it took. The motorcycle veers slightly to the right. There's a faint sound, a wobble, a quick gasp, and then silence. The phone slips from Selena's hand. The screen goes black. When emergency services arrived minutes later, the scene told the rest of the story. The motorcycle had slammed straight into a large tree just outside a residential complex near Montenegro. The impact was catastrophic. Neither girl had time to react. Selena died instantly. Catherine was still breathing when firefighters arrived, but only for a moment. By the time medics reached her, both were gone. A bystander captured a short video in the aftermath. Voices screaming for help, flashing light, and the twisted wreckage of the bike lying across the road. You can hear someone cry out, "She's still moving," before the crowd falls silent. News of the crash spread fast through Quindio. When the original video surfaced online a few days later, it went viral. Millions watched in disbelief as 2 young lives shifted from laughter to tragedy in a matter of seconds. The images were haunting. The carefree joy, the sudden black screen, the knowledge of what came next. Authorities later confirmed what most already suspected: speed, distraction, and no helmets. The investigation revealed that Catherine had been driving too fast and glancing at the phone while filming. Neither girl had the protection that might have saved them. In Quindío, locals weren't surprised. The region's winding roads and sharp corners have claimed too many lives. Just the day before the girls' crash, a 37-year-old man named Juan Ango died in a separate hit-and-run. In that same week, 5 more people were killed in the traffic incidents. Motorcycle group leader Gustavo Santos spoke out after the tragedy, saying, "We lose young people every week. They chase speed, they chase fun, and they don't come home." His words echoed across Colombia. But it was Catherine and Selena's video that struck deepest. Watching it feels like intruding on a memory of 2 best friends, happy and fearless, their voices filled with life. Then, nothing. A sharp reminder of how fast joy can disappear. They were just 19, 2 girls with dreams, laughter, and a camera capturing what they thought was another adventure. Instead, that video became the last thing they ever made, a silent warning frozen in time, showing how quickly freedom on 2 wheels can turn into tragedy. It was May 27, 2025, an ordinary Tuesday in Duque de Caxias, a busy town tucked in northern Rio de Janeiro. The streets buzzed with traffic, vendors, and the sound of motorcycles weaving through the afternoon heat. Among them was 41-year-old Oriel Henriquez, a man known for his kindness and tireless work ethic. He wasn't famous or reckless, just a devoted husband, a loving father of 3, and a hard-working motorcycle taxi driver who cooked part-time to make ends meet. That day, Oriel was doing something simple, riding to visit his daughter. His wife sat behind him, holding onto his shoulders as the bike moved through familiar roads he'd traveled hundreds of times before. But fate had other plans. As they rounded a curve, the sunlight caught something faint, a glimmer in the air, like a spider's web stretched across the road. It looked harmless, almost invisible, but it wasn't. That faint thread was line chilena, a deadly, glass-coated kite string used in a local game where people battle kites to cut each other's lines mid-air. The game might sound innocent, even fun, but the string itself is pure danger. Coated with glue and powdered glass, it's sharp enough to slice through flesh, and sometimes even lives. Oriel didn't see it coming. In a split second, as the motorcycle glided forward, the line caught him across the neck. His wife screamed. The bike swerved, jerking to a stop as Oriel collapsed, clutching at the wound. Passing drivers saw the horror unfold and ran over, helping his wife press their hands to the bleeding, desperate to keep him alive. They loaded him into a car, racing toward Nova Iguazu General Hospital. But Oriel's condition worsened with every heartbeat. The line had cut deep, too deep. Or they could make it to the emergency room. His pulse faded. Doctors recorded the time of death, 5:53 p.m. A simple family trip had turned into a nightmare. When news broke, the entire town was shaken. His niece, Ghislaine Chrysley, spoke to local media through tears. He was just going to see his daughter, she said. He didn't deserve this. For many Brazilians, Oriel's story wasn't just another tragedy. It was a reminder of a growing danger lurking in the skies, invisible, silent, and lethal. The line chilena has been banned in several regions, including Rio, but that hasn't stopped people from using it. Since 2019, over 2,800 kite string incidents have been reported in the area, injuring riders, pedestrians, even animals. Motorcyclists, especially, are the most vulnerable. These nearly invisible wires stretch low across roads, ready to strike anyone who passes by. Some bikers have taken precautions, installing metal antennas on their bikes designed to slice through stray strings before they reach the rider's neck. But Oriel didn't have one. And just days after his death, another rider nearly suffered the same fate. A delivery driver named Luan Moda shared his terrifying near-miss when he spotted a string glinting in front of him just in time to pull back. "If I hadn't seen it," he said, "I'd be dead." Oriel's death added pressure on lawmakers to act. A new bill is now being discussed in Brazil's Senate, one that could ban the production and sale of these deadly strings entirely, with heavy fines and even prison sentences for violators. For now, though, it's just talk and too late for Oriel. He leaves behind 3 children, ages 21, 19, and 6, and a wife who watched the love of her life die right in front of her. The most painful part? It wasn't speeding or recklessness or bad luck. It was a thin, nearly invisible line hanging in the air, a silent killer waiting for anyone unlucky enough to pass by. It was July 2024 in the sunburned hills of southwestern Turkey. Riding along that open road was Tatiana Ulina, a 38-year-old Russian motorcyclist whose life revolved around speed, freedom, and storytelling. To millions online, she was Moto Tanya, a fearless traveler who turned every mile into a memory, every curve into content. She had ridden across continents, faced storms, and captured it all through her lens. But on this day, her story would stop abruptly, right where the asphalt met fate. Tatiana's red BMW S1000RR roared along the Mas-Suki highway, slicing through the Turkish summer heat. She wasn't alone. Two fellow bikers rode beside her, one of them a Turkish man named Onur Obut, the other still unnamed. It was supposed to be a simple ride between Muğla and Bodrum, the kind of trip she'd done hundreds of times before. Her followers expected another video, another smiling post with her signature confidence. Instead, what came next would leave them speechless. Tatiana had already been through so much that summer. Weeks earlier, she'd tried to continue her European motorcycle tour, but had been turned away at the Greek border due to travel restrictions on Russian citizens. Still, she refused to let it bring her down. In her last Instagram post, she stayed upbeat, showing off a souvenir magnet she bought in Greece before crossing back into Turkey. "I'll keep exploring this beautiful, warm, and hospitable country," she wrote, her words full of optimism. Nobody knew it would be her final message. As the trio rode down the winding road near Milas, the scenery blurred the mountains on one side, the distant sea on the other. It was the kind of freedom only bikers understand, that moment when the world feels infinite. But freedom, as Tatiana's followers would soon learn, can turn deadly in a heartbeat. Witnesses say she was leading the group when her motorcycle suddenly jerked. A bump, a touch, something went wrong. Onur's bike might have clipped the back of hers, causing her to lose balance. In that split second, everything changed. Her motorcycle spun out of control, the rear tires skidding against the pavement as sparks flew. It veered sideways, then slammed into the side of a truck. The sound echoed metal twisting, glass shattering, the unmistakable silence that follows chaos. Tatiana was thrown from her bike, landing hard on the asphalt. Reports later said she suffered a serious neck injury. Some claimed she was still conscious for a moment, eyes open, breathing faintly before the world went dark. By the time paramedics arrived, Moto Tanya, the most famous motorcycle vlogger in Russia, was gone. Onur was rushed to Muğla State Hospital in critical condition. The third rider survived without injuries, left to replay the crash in his mind forever. The investigation into what exactly happened began immediately, but there was little mystery to it. One moment of contact, one flash of bad luck, and everything Tatiana had built came crashing down. Her death hit like a shockwave. The biking community went silent. On TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, her followers flooded her last post with disbelief. Over 8 million people had followed her journey. Her laughter, her travels, her sense of adventure. She wasn't just a rider, she was a storyteller, a symbol of independence in a world full of limits. Tatiana's life had been one long, open road. She had won Moto Blogger of the Year in 2023 and was honored again in 2024 as Travel Blogger of the Year by Kickstarter. She had ridden through storms, deserts, and foreign borders. She'd shared every high and low, every scar and smile. Yet, even those closest to her knew she carried the same risks that all riders do, that haunting thought that every ride could be the last. After her death, tributes poured in from every corner of the internet. "Tanya, I can't believe it's true. You'll be in my heart forever," one fan wrote. "Brave girl, rest in peace," said another. Some reports mentioned she had a 13-year-old son, though her family stayed silent, mourning privately while the world grieved publicly. Andrei Ivanov, head of the Moto Moscow Association, summed it up simply: she had a bright and beautiful life. She was admired, envied, copied, and sometimes criticized. But now, only her memory remains. Tatiana's final video, filmed near the Greek border, showed her smiling at the camera, sun on her face, helmet off, wind in her hair. She looked alive and unstoppable. That's how her fans remember her. Fearless, free, and forever chasing the horizon. In the end, the road that gave her purpose also took her life. A moment of contact, a flash of metal, and the journey ended, leaving millions behind, staring at their screens, realizing that even the strongest souls can be gone in an instant.